Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a special video based on a user-submitted question. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, users send in questions using Super Chat or tips or whatever. But once in a while, when somebody sends in like a really large one, like $50 or more, I like to honor that by answering the question in its own standalone video. And that's what we're going to do right now as we take this question from Clayton Kearns, who writes, I am one of the 86% of the Rotten Tomatoes reviewers who love The Rise of Skywalker. That's awesome. I'm not a fan of The Rise of Skywalker. Everybody knows this by now, but I love that you loved it. That's the most important thing. Anyway, I feel JJ is being crucified for the sins of Lucasfilm. I feel he did the best with what he had. What would you have wanted JJ to do with the movie since all of his plot setups were crushed by Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi? All right, thanks for sending that in, man. And first of all, let me just say this. What would I have done? What did I want JJ to do? I honestly never think about that stuff. I want the filmmakers to tell their story. It's not about, you know, what do I think they should have done with it? I try to stay away from that. And I'm guilty of doing it a lot, but I try to stay away from that. So that's really not a part of my thinking. But let me address this one thing that's kind of been a popular and I think erroneous train of thought that's out there, that Rian Johnson, you know, deviated or wrecked the storylines that J.J. Abrams tried to set up. Because the fact of the matter is, he didn't. Let's start with the whole Luke Skywalker thing, right? What did J.J. Abrams do with Luke Skywalker? J.J. Abrams in The Force Awakens, which, by the way, The Force Awakens, I love that movie. It's my favorite Star Wars movie of the new era of Star Wars films. I adore that movie. I think J.J. Abrams did a great job with that. But what did J.J. Abrams set up with Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens? Well, he had disappeared. He'd withdrawn. Han Solo said he blamed himself for what happened, so he just went away, or however, whatever the dialogue was that Han Solo used for that particular thing. That Luke up and disappeared because he blamed himself for what happened with the fall of Ben and all that kind of stuff, and he went away and became a hermit. Well, then, in The Last Jedi, what did Rian Johnson do with Luke? Luke was a guy who got away from it all. He blamed himself for everything, decided to get away from it all and just remove himself from the situation and become a hermit. That's exactly what J.J. Abrams set up. It's exactly what J.J. Abrams set up with Luke Skywalker. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that J.J. thought, gosh, if I do a film 2, I'm going to have Luke Skywalker die. I mean, not necessarily. But bottom line is, Rian Johnson, on this big key thematic thing with Luke, he just followed through with what J.J. Abrams set up. Now, if Rian Johnson were to have done something completely different, he would have started The Last Jedi with Luke meeting Rey and saying, you know what, it's time for me to get into the fight, and then fly right back in and join the fight. That would have been going against the grain of what J.J. Abrams set up. So no, he didn't deviate on that. What about Rey's parents? You know, in The Last Jedi, a lot of people were upset that they end up revealing that Rey's parents were nobody. Well, that's exactly what J.J. Abrams set up. And he said as much. On the John Campea Show recently, I brought up again an interview that J.J. Abrams did with Empire Magazine. And we quoted, this is before that came out, and he said, I love the idea of the hero being nobody from nothing, and that they become just their own thing. Daisy Ridley herself talked about things after The Last Jedi. You know, and they revealed in The Last Jedi that her parents were from nobody. And Daisy Ridley confirmed that what JJ told her at the beginning of while they were shooting The Force Awakens was that her parents were nobody. So Rian Johnson was just following through on what J.J. Abrams had intended and set up. So now look, we can disagree and we can not love certain things that Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. I certainly have issues with a number of things that Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. I know a lot of other people do too, and that's fine. But really, on those main narrative plot ideas, Rian Johnson just followed through on them. And by the way, J.J. Abrams decided to change directions from his own original plan as he was going into The Rise of Skywalker. Not because he had to try to fix something Rian Johnson did, but because he felt a pressure to placate the fans, to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? To try to appease some vocal members of the fans. Like, you know, his plan was always to have her parents be nobody, but everybody's screaming that they want her parents to be somebody. Okay, let's do this. Listen, Colin Trevorrow, who was going to be directing Star Wars Episode 9, said that Palpatine was never part of the plan. Palpatine wasn't even going to be a part of Episode 9. So J.J. Abrams decided, let's try to appease some of the fans, and we'll say that Rey's parents are somebody. Well, who are they? She's Palpatine's granddaughter, because everybody thinks everybody's got to be related to somebody in Star Wars, which is so stupid. Anyway, at least to me. So Abrams just decided to make a bunch of changes, but had very little to do with Rian Johnson and more to do with wanting to respond to the fans demanding certain things. And I believe that hurt the film. I believe that hurt the film. Not that if he had not done that, that the film guaranteed would have been good, because there's no guarantee of that either, I suppose. But yeah, I think, look, JJ, at the end of the day, JJ Abrams tried to make the best film that he could. At the end of the day, he tried to make the best film that he could. And that's all you can ever ask of a filmmaker to do. And maybe it'll work, and maybe it won't work. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but that's all they can try to do. And he certainly made those decisions. But again, I would caution against saying that Rian Johnson disrupted the storylines that JJ was trying to set up, because in actuality, if you really look at it, he was just following through with them. What the results are, that's up to you and I to decide whether we like them or not. Anyway, guys, question is, what do you think about all that? I want to know your thoughts. Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your opinions on that. Anyway, guys, that will do it for this video. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.